Hello, and a very warm welcome to you. You know that cable, the one you plug into your laptop when you need that rock-solid, super-fast internet? Well, have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually going on with it? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unsung hero of our digital world, Ethernet. Welcome to Cognito Key. We're so glad you're here. In this explainer, we're going to demystify a piece of tech that you've probably seen 1,000 times, but maybe never really thought about. And trust me, it's the quiet hero behind your most stable internet connection. Yeah, this familiar thing, right? You plug it into your laptop, your gaming console, your smart TV, pretty much anything you want to connect directly. But what is actually happening inside that cable? What's the secret sauce that makes it all work? Well, let's find out together. Okay, so to really get what this cable does, we first have to understand the technology that's powering it. And that technology, my friends, is called Ethernet. It's literally the foundation of every single stable wired connection you have ever used. No exaggeration. So what is it exactly? Well, you can think of Ethernet as the universal rulebook for wired networks. It's the standard, the set of rules, and the physical hardware that lets computers talk to each other flawlessly, whether they're in the same room, across a whole university campus, or even across a city. But hold on, in a world that's gone completely crazy for Wi-Fi, why is this old school cable still so popular? It really comes down to four massive reasons. First up, pure, unadulterated speed. Ethernet is almost always faster. Second, security. I mean, it's a lot harder to snoop on a physical wire than a Wi-Fi signal, right? Third, reliability. It is rock solid. You don't get those annoying random dropouts you sometimes get with Wi-Fi. And last but not least, compatibility. It just works with pretty much everything. Now, what's really fascinating is that the Ethernet we use today is a completely different beast from where it all started back in the 70s. Oh yeah, it has gone through this huge evolution from just one simple shared cable to the super smart system we have now. So let's take a quick trip back in time. Okay, so our story kicks off in 1976 at the legendary Xerox PARC. A few years later, in 1980, it hit the market. But the real game changer? That came in 1983. It was officially standardized as IEEE 802.3. Now, I know that sounds super technical and maybe a little boring, but trust me, this was huge. It meant that suddenly any company could build hardware that would all work together. And that's what created the universal standard we all rely on today. So in the early days, things were, well, a bit chaotic. Classical Ethernet basically used one long cable to connect all the computers. Think of it like an old-fashioned telephone party line. If one person was talking, everyone else had to just sit there and wait their turn. And on top of that, everyone could hear everyone else's conversation. Not exactly efficient and definitely not private. So how did we fix that messy party line problem? Well, the first try was a little box called a hub. And a hub, well, it acted like a town crier. It would just shout a message to the entire network, even if that message was only for one computer. Super inefficient, right? But then came the real game changer, the switch. Now, a switch is much smarter. It's more like a postal worker. It looks at the address on the data and delivers it only to the computer it's meant for. And that, right there, was the giant leap that took us from a noisy, clogged-up network to the smart, efficient one we use today. All right, so with efficiency pretty much solved, the next big obsession was just one thing: pure, raw speed. And the evolution here honestly has been absolutely breathtaking. We went from fast to really fast to just mind-bogglingly fast. So the first big jump was something called fast Ethernet, which rocketed speeds all the way up to 100 megabits per second, a huge deal at the time. But then came Gigabit Ethernet, and this was a massive 10-fold leap to 1,000 megabits per second. This is what really became the standard for most of our homes and offices for years. And guess what? It didn't stop there. Today, we have 10 gigabit Ethernet, which is the kind of speed that powers huge data centers and the actual backbone of the internet. I mean, think about that progression, from 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000. It's just an incredible explosion of speed in a really short time. Okay, so we've talked about the history, we've talked about the speed, but what about the physical stuff? How does this technology actually connect our devices? Let's get into the nuts and bolts, the actual cables and ports that make it all happen. So there are really three main types of Ethernet cables out there. The one you most likely have at home is called a twisted pair. It's basically just simple copper wires inside.
Then you have coaxial cable. You might recognize this one from an old cable TV hookup. It's a bit tougher with better shielding, but the undisputed king of speed, that's fiber optic. This stuff transmits data using pulses of light, and it is just ridiculously fast.
And what do all these cables plug into? Well, that rectangular port you see on your computer or router, that's the Ethernet port. And the plastic clip on the end of the cable that makes that satisfying click sound, that's called an RJ45 connector. It's a super simple, really durable design that has become the absolute standard for wired connections everywhere. All right, let's get to the question that's probably on your mind right now. What about Wi-Fi? It's the modern showdown, right? Wired versus wireless. So, when should you use one over the other? Let's break it down. You know, it really all boils down to a simple trade-off. With Ethernet, you get the absolute best in speed, top-notch security, and that rock-solid reliability. The price you pay? You give up mobility. On the other hand, Wi-Fi gives you the amazing freedom to move around, but you do sacrifice some of that peak performance. So there's no single winner here. It's all about what you need. For your serious gaming PC where every millisecond counts, you definitely want Ethernet. For your phone or your tablet, the convenience of Wi-Fi is just unbeatable. So, we've gone through the history, the speed, the hardware. Let's make that final connection for you. When should you choose to plug in that Ethernet cable? Okay, here's the bottom line. If you absolutely need maximum performance, and I'm talking incredible speed, seriously tight security, and a connection that just will not drop, Ethernet is, without a doubt, your answer. What's the catch? Well, you're physically tethered to the wall. No getting up and wandering around with your laptop. And this leaves us with one final big question. In a world that is sprinting towards a wireless everything future, is there still a place for the humble wire? Well, I'd say for anyone who demands that their connection be as fast, as secure, and as reliable as it can possibly be, the answer is a resounding, absolutely yes. And that wraps up our journey into the surprisingly fascinating world of Ethernet. If this helped you understand that little cable just a bit better, we would be so grateful if you'd hit that like button, share this with a friend, and of course, subscribe to Cognota Key for more explainers that unlock the tech all around us. Thanks so much for watching.